welcome back to another fragrance review. Today I am going to review two very popular fragrances for the winter and fall. The first one is Stronger With You Intensely and the other one is Stronger With You Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you my verdict about these two fragrances, what's the difference and what would I recommend. Let's begin. Alright, so I start with spraying Armani Stronger With You Intensely on my left arm here, and then I already sprayed these fragrances before, so I've tried the dry down and I'm just going to try them once again and see if I still think the way I think about these or still feel the way I feel. And the first difference I feel in an instant is that Stronger With You Absolutely is much more playful and sweet, in my opinion. It opens up very sweet, almost a candy-like feel I come across here, and I think it's the rum note in that one that makes it very sweet and a little bit more playful than the Intensely, which is a little bit more, I would say, mature, a little bit more smoky, a little bit more heavy on the spices and maturity. So I feel that Stronger With You Absolutely is maybe a little bit better for the younger guys who want a little bit more sweeter take, tone down the spices and the maturity a little bit and just go for a very, it's both sweet and spicy, but it's much more sweet in the opening than Intensely is. And a little bit straight older guys, or straight, and the older guys is better with the Intensely. Do I feel that these fragrances are very revolutionary in their scent profile, and do I think that you should purchase some of these fragrances? Not really. They're nothing that you haven't smelled before. I don't think that they are worth investing in. That's why I bought two samples instead, because first of all, I have a fragrance stop right now, so I basically don't buy full presentations anymore. I'm not gonna do it at least this year. So I just buy samples and try fragrances because I don't think it's worth it to invest in something that you don't really love. So I think that you should, of course, try these fragrances first, but the other hand is they're not worth it if you still have a lot of spicy fragrances for the wintertime in your collection already. These are nothing spectacular. These smell pretty young, in my opinion. They're not elegant, they're not classy, they're just plain basic designer fragrances with a sweet touch, with a spicy touch. Nothing that you haven't smelled before. They're not the wow factor in these fragrances at all. If you have tried a lot of fragrances, you will understand what I mean. And why I think this is basically, I have a little bit hard time with fragrance companies or designer fragrances that just push out a lot of flankers. That just means they're hoarding in a lot of cash, basically. And that's the thing with, for example, the Asaro line, Wanted by Night line. They just hoard out, or they just push out a lot of flankers. Same with the Stronger With You line. They just push out flankers, and they're not that good, any of them. If we're going to be totally honest, they're just okay. So if you're a fragrance connoisseur, this is a pass for you. I think you will not be amazed. If you have a developed nose, you will appreciate better scents, better niche fragrances, even better designer fragrances. Diorum Intense, for example, much better to put your money on than this synthetic mess, in my opinion. And also a tip, that look at the perfumer. This perfumer who made these fragrances, she's made 42 fragrances in her whole career. And if we're looking at the master perfumers, if we're looking at Alberto Morillas, Nathalie Lawson, all the masters, they have approximately made over 200 fragrances in their life. So 150 fragrances more, 150 more creations than this perfumer. And you can really feel it if you just dive into it. You can feel that she's not that experienced if you compare to the master perfumes, and you can feel it in the quality of the smell, you can feel it in the development of the scent, you can feel it you know the whole structure of the fragrance. If you have done more than 150 fragrances more than a perfumer, you have more experience in the perfume game, and you can really feel this in these type of fragrances, especially Asaro Wanted by Night. I don't really know which perfumer made those, if I'm going to be honest, so I can't really have an opinion about those fragrances, but they're pretty similar in their structure than the Stronger With You line of fragrances. The spicy, you know, cardamom, cinnamon, they're just pushing all these spices in the fragrances, and we know that by now. So I wish that they were more interesting. I mean, they don't smell bad at all. They smell okay, but if you have tried a lot of fragrances, this is nothing new for you. So a tip for me is to, instead of just looking at the releases and the hype of Fragrantica, look at what perfumers made a specific fragrance, or what perfumer made a specific fragrance, because basically they does it better. It doesn't matter if it's a non-cool brand. If it's like Blue Seduction, Antonio Banderas, I think it was like Jack Polch or someone that made that fragrance. A master perfumer made that fragrance. So just because it's from Antonio Banderas doesn't mean the juice itself is worse than from a more established brand like Armani, for example. Just look more at the who made the fragrance, and look at what they've made before, and research a little bit, and then you don't have to just go on with the fragrance brand and stuff like that. So that's my verdict. I'm gonna see now if they smell. This is too sweet. Absolutely, it's very Chloe. But absolutely, it's very Chloe in my opinion. I wouldn't wear either of these fragrances. I wouldn't wear either. So that's why I think it's a very good idea to just sample. I bought, like in a Facebook group, 2 5 milliliter samples just to compare these two. I'm really happy that I didn't buy the full presentation, because I would regret it 100%. One thing that I have to say though, they are pretty good performing fragrances. So if you like the scent of it, well, you might want to buy it, because they last a pretty long time, both of them. They create a little layer on your skin, so they don't get absorbed in your skin as easy as a lot of other fragrances I've seen. I think I don't know if it's just the notes or if they have a lot of fragrance oil in these type of fragrances, but I've known they are like a glimmering layer on my skin, so they sit on your skin longer than a lot of other fragrances do in my collection. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And as I said, enjoy what you have in your collection. You don't use all of your fragrances anyway, so why buy full presentations and waste your money on scented alcohol, basically. That's my video for today. Goodbye.